Jai Hind students, you are welcome once again. And today we are going to study chapter number 1 from the supplementary reader. Third level means the third level from our supplementary reader written by Jack Finney. And since this chapter has already been taught through WhatsApp, but through this platform live classes we have not studied, so we are going to study it today. And for this, first of all, we will discuss about the main features, all those main points from where that questions in your board examination can be raised. So let us discuss main features first, and then we will go through the text and its explanation thoroughly. So first of all, here that I am going to discuss about the main features of the story, The Third Level by Jack Finney from the supplementary reader Vistas. Please wait a minute. Now you can see that this is chapter number 1, the third level, and let me tell you, since as per your revised syllabus for the session 2021, out of 8 you have to study only 5 chapters. 3 chapters have been deleted for this current session, and those chapters which have been deleted, that is chapter number 2, chapter number 3 and the last chapter. So those chapters we will not study, and since this chapter had been taught you through the WhatsApp, so we are going to study it on this platform once again. The Third Level by Jack Finney. Now first of all, let us see its main features. That first point, we are going to discuss the first point about the author. Since I have so many times told you that question regarding the author will not be asked, but before studying any of the story, any of the chapter, that we should know something about the author. So here let us know something about Jack Finney. Jack Finney, born on 2nd of October 1911 and died on 14th November 1995, was an American author. His best known works are science fiction and thrillers. He attended Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. He has also described in this chapter this place. Students, when we will study, we will know about Galesburg, Illinois, how it has been used in this chapter, the third level. After living in New York City and working for an advertising agency there, he moved with his family to California in the early 1950s. He lived in Mill Valley, California, and died of pneumonia in Green Bay, California. And he means Jack Finney's first short story, The Widow's Walk, won a contest sponsored by Ellery Queen's mystery magazine in 1946. His first novel, Five Against the House, was published in 1954. It was made into a movie the following year. I think this much is sufficient for to know about Jack Finney, about the author. Now let us see the next point, that is the introduction of the story, the third level. This story, the third level, depicts the narrator's visit. Narrator, who is Charlie. So this story depicts the narrator's visit to the third level of a station. Third level means level is, floor, we can say first floor, second floor, third floor, like first story, second story, third story. Generally in railway stations that these stories are found. So here in this story we find that the story depicts the narrator's visit to the third level of a station that does not exist in reality. In reality, the third level does not exist, remember. The idea of going back in time at the reality level is quite startling and baffling. Whether the narrator's visit to the third level is in the reality world or is within his own mind, it remains mystery in the end of the story. But in the third level, means in this story, Jack Finney gives us a seemingly impossible idea. What kind of impossible idea? This impossible idea of going back in time at the reality level. Is it not possible for us to go back in time? But here it has been described in this story. And that's why it is seemingly impossible idea. On one of his visits to the Grand Central Station, the narrator Charlie, remember students, the narrator Charlie is the narrator of the story and he is the most important character as well. He is the protagonist of the story. So on one of his visits to the Grand Central Station, the narrator Charlie has a curious experience on the third level of the station. He comes to see everything and everybody belonging to the last century, which is impossible that we can't travel in past days, but it happens in the story. And the third level is non-existent in reality. What is the reality? In reality, there is no third level. And it seems to be a means of escape for him. Means it seems to be a means of escape for Charlie. Charlie, the narrator, is escapist. It seems that he finds himself unable to cope with the harsh realities of modern life. So that's why he has developed an escapist nature. So his psychiatrist friend tells him that he wants to escape from the harsh realities of the world. And the problem arises only when he himself reports to have gone back to Galesburg of 1894 from the third level. Who means Charlie's psychiatrist friend himself. means he was also suffering from the same kind of problem. It seems that he himself was unable, means not only Charlie the narrator, rather that his friend who was a psychiatrist Sam, he was also suffering from the same problem, as he was also, it seems that he was also unable to cope with the modern realities of life, with the harsh realities of the modern life. Now let us see that next point, that is theme. So what is the theme of the story? It is very important to know, because that especially long answer type questions are asked, which long answer type questions which are based on theme, message, all those things. So let us see the theme of the story, the third level. And when we talk about the theme of this story, we find that in this story, the third level, the writer wants to convey that the life of modern man is full of insecurity. Remember students, it is important. The writer Jack Finney wants to convey that the life of modern man is full of insecurity, tensions, worries and stress, and so he is unable to cope with the tensions and worries of modern life. These are the harsh realities of modern life, and so he wants to escape and run away from the harsh realities of his life. But things were pretty nice and peaceful in the earlier times, means almost a centuries ago, in 19th century. People did not suffer, because at that time that generally the people did not suffer from tensions, from stress, from insecurity, from war, from fear, like that. So they led a simple life, because they led a simple life, peaceful and very carefree life. They did not entertain fanciful and unrealistic ideas at that time, and they were neither dreamers nor escapists, as they don't need to adopt any means to escape from their realities, from the realities of their life, because they were leading quite peaceful and carefree life. They led a contented and comfortable life. That's why they don't need to be escape from their realities, their day-to-day practical life. This is the theme you keep in your mind while we will go through the text and its explanation thoroughly. At that time we will able to point out that how the theme has been depicted in the story. Now let us see that another point, that is the title. And especially this chapter, means it is always important. Title is always important for all the chapters, but especially from this chapter, that question can be raised from its title, the third level. And when we talk about the title, we see that the life of modern man is full of insecurity, tensions, worries, war, fear, stress. Remember student, this is very valid, very important point, because that in long answer type questions you will have to focus on these things. And when he cannot cope with the harsh realities of life, he wants to escape into a fanciful world. Who? Charlie, the narrator of the story. And he tries to find a level of existence that will provide him peace, happiness, and tranquility. So he dreams of a fantastic world which is devoid of tensions of life. Means he dreams a world where there is no tension, where he can lead his life in a very simple way. And the author Jack Finney here has given the title The Third Level to this fantastic world, which is desired for by the modern man. Means the kind life that which modern man is longing for, a peaceful, a carefree life without tension, without stress, without worry, without fear, without war. The third level to this fantastic world that the people are longing for, and that's why this title had been given to this story. And this title, the third level, also refers to the reality that exists only in the mind of modern world, because it does not exist in space and time. It is his mind that helps him escape the tensions and harsh realities of life. Hence, the title, The Third Level, is an appropriate and absolutely justified. Now, let us see the next important point, that is the message of the story. Always whenever any story is written, there is a message in the story. What is the message of this story, The Third Level by Jack Finney? Let us know. The message of this story is that we should try to live a calm and peaceful life. Calm, peaceful, carefree life. So we should realize that life is full of tensions and worries. If we are unable to overcome them, then we are likely to become escapist, like the narrator of the story, narrator of this story, Charlie. The narrator escapes to the level of reality that exists only in his mind, that is the product of his mind. In reality, there is no third level, there is no such a world from where that we can escape from one century to, from the modern world to a century back. But it is in his new non-existent world that he finds peace and happiness, according to the Charlie the narrator. And this is revealed to him by his friend Sam, who was a psychiatrist friend. Now let us see that next topic, which is all this, remember students, all this introduction that helps us to understand the story. Theme, title, message, these three are very important topics which we need to focus on. And now let us see the sixth one, that is the character. And when we talk about the character, especially three characters are given here, mentioned here in this story, the third level. And out of these three, that first one, the narrator Charlie, which is the most important character, who is the protagonist of this story. And separately you need to understand the character sketch of the narrator Charlie. And it is also advised to you that you should write the character sketch of Charlie separately in about 150 words and practice it. Now let us see about that. There are three important characters in this story. That first one is Charlie. The second important character, Sam, his friend who is a psychiatrist. And the third one is Louisa, means narrator's wife. So let us see. that first one is Charlie. The Charlie who is a highly imaginative and sensitive person, and who is an escapist by nature. His psychiatrist friend is right when he says that Charlie is unable to cope with the tensions and worries of modern life, means he is not able to adjust in the modern life himself. And what he sees on the third level is certainly a waking dream wish fulfillment. Remember, students, that important phrase, a waking dream wish fulfillment. According to his psychiatrist friend Sam, that when he thinks about the third level, when he talks about that he had found the third level on the Grand Central Station, it is nothing but a waking dream wish fulfillment for him, for the narrator. And he wants to escape to the peaceful world of Galesburg, Illinois in 1894, means a century back. He wants to escape from the modern world into the world of 1894, means almost 1 century back days. He wants to go and he wants to live that kind of life. And he wants to forget the harsh realities of the modern world. And it is also important to note that he has a hobby. What kind of hobby the Charlie has? That stamp collecting, hobby of stamp collecting. And he has the hobby of stamp collecting, and which also shows that he is an escapist. But there are some other merits, other qualities of the narrator Charlie also that you can mention. That is, the Charlie is a loving and caring husband. How? As he wants to rush back home after finishing his office work. He wants to take his wife Louisa to the Galesburg, Illinois, in that peaceful and carefree world which belongs to a century back. And Charlie is a man of mystery, and he is involved in the mystery of the third level. He is not sure whether the third level exists or not, because that is the product of his mind, as he is escapist by nature. So after visiting the third level once, he has never been able to find the corridor that leads to the third level at the Grand Central Station, even though he tried for so many times. So finally, we conclude that Charlie is the representative of the modern man who leads a life of insecurity and worries. Now, if we talk about the next character, that is Sam. Sam, the psychiatrist, who is a psychiatrist and who is narrator's friend. He is true to his profession. His, he loved his profession truly in the modern world. He is a competent psychiatrist, and he correctly diagnoses the ailment of his friend Charlie. And when his friend Charlie consults him, he tells him frankly that he is an escapist and he is unable to cope with the tensions and worries of modern life. And he further also tells him that like any modern man, he suffers from insecurity, fear, war. And he also tells him that his hobby of stamp collecting is just a refuge from the harsh realities of life. And when Charlie tells him about the existence of third level, Sam tells him that it was a waking dream wish fulfillment for him. And the same as a psychiatrist is straightforward and frank. These are the another quality of very straightforward. Means he did not want to mince with words. He does not want to hide anything. Rather, the fact he spoke to the narrator straight away. And as a person, he too is affected by the tensions of the modern life. Remember, student, this is important. Not only the Charlie, the narrator, rather he himself, on one hand, he says to him that it was a waking dream wish fulfillment for him when he talks about going, finding the third level and going into the days of a century back where he could live peaceful and careful life with pleasure. But he himself is affected by the tensions of the modern life. So he also seeks refuge in the third level. And most surprising thing is that at the end of the story, he discovers the third level of Grand Central and goes to Galesburg, Illinois of 1894. And now that the next character, when we talk about Louisa, she is the Charlie's loving wife, and she is loving and very caring as well. When Charlie informs her about the existence of third level, she gets worried about him, means about her husband Charlie, and she advises him not to look for the third level anymore. But when Charlie tells her about the Sam's disappearance, she begins to believe in the third level, and both of them then begin to look for the third level every weekend. Means she is a very simple-minded woman, but very loving and caring towards her husband, Charlie, the narrator. So now, students, in this way, that we see that uh, uh, today I think that time is about to be over. So this story we will begin tomorrow. We will go through the story and its explanation. And for today, I think that we should end this session, means today's period, here only. And as much as the story concerned, that we will study story from the next class. That's all for today. Thank you and have a great day.